I got my backup drive shaft from PEM. Here comes the dog herd. Come on. I'll quit. I don't want to hear it, Stitch. Pug voicing his opinion. Ain't nothing like getting bitched out by a one-eyed pug dog. I can't say that. He's a good boy. That little guy follows me. He goes anywhere I go. That's my buddy. Well, I went to change my wastegates out. I can't find the springs that I bought to go in them. I'm thinking my grandson's got a hold of them or something. I don't know. But if I can't find them by tomorrow evening, I'm just going to order new ones. Ooh, excuse me. But I did replumb the gates. So now we're putting pressure to the top of the gate, using more control of the MAC valve and the boost controller. I've had an issue with trying to get this thing to build boost. And the way that they showed to set this up was actually for high back pressure. I don't have high back pressure. I talked to TurboSmart. I did it like they said, the guy said to do. I've got to get a plug for here right there. There's my Redneck Engineering plug. But we put it up on the trans brake. That's why it's jacked up off the ground, so we didn't decide to bounce it off the wall if something failed and the brake released. But I put it up on the brake. We took it to $4,000. That's what the rev limiter was set at on the trans brake. And at $4,000, it was already up to 12 pounds. And it started to, of course, popping and banging off the rev limiter, fucking belching flames out the exhaust. But it come up quick. It did what it was supposed to do. It went right to where I had it set at. It didn't try to go over it. Of course, with that boost controller, I set my gate pressure. I set over boost protection. Then I go in and I change and adjust the signal to the MAC valve for the turbo on how quick or how slow I want it to make boost. And then I can also adjust the boost curve to try to, so it ain't like, and you know, you can clean it up. And that percentage goes from 0 to 99. Okay. So, and I had it set at base settings of 20 on both of them. We're going to tinker with it a little bit. My wife's off this weekend. No grandkids. So I'm sure she's got things she's going to want to do together. But we're going to get the truck out either today or tomorrow and get some drive time on it and play with the boost controller and see what we can do. But my goal is to get it up around 15, 16 pounds and let it eat, see what it does. I know it can handle more than that, but we're going to see what it does. If it comes up and does what I want it to do at that boost pressure, I'm not going to play with it anymore. We're just going to leave it there and run it. I do plan on taking it to US 36 Raceway in Osborne, Missouri this summer. They have test and tune nights from like 6 to 10. Run it up there. It's about an hour or a little bit more drive. I can't remember. I've been to Bethany a few times. I know it's just straight up I-35, but we're going to run it up there and play with it and see what it'll do. So. And then, for the ones that ask why I went with IRD, I researched all of this. I talked to people that used IRD carburetors and CSU carburetors and CNS specialty carburetors. And then there's another company that builds them, guys that use the Proform, the Demon, and all that. Okay? And here's what I came up with. The Proform and the Demon carburetors, other than Demon has passages to put pressure on either side of the throttle shaft. That's about it. Annular boosters. A little work on the metering plates. Everything else is the same. Quick Fuel, same thing. Annular boosters. Blocked circuit back here. 4.5 power valve up here like they do on all their shit carburetors. Well, they're not shit, but all their shit. Their carburetors. A little bit of a metering plate package, and that's it. Okay. I went with John after talking to other people that run his carburetors. And that and the fact that he got black billet, the right CFM on a 4150 flange, big CFM on a 4150 flange, real high flow single needle in seats that flow a shitload of fuel. As you can see, I'm feeding it with a Dash 8 line. The fuel pump's a Magna Fuel ProStar 500. which 30 pounds of pressure, but it pushes a shitload of fuel. The other thing was, I like the boost reference power valves he uses. They're not a rubber diaphragm. To me, a rubber diaphragm is a fail point. Okay? To me, it's just a fail point. Everybody to each their own, but that's my personal opinion. Don't take it to heart. That's just my opinion. So, now on this thing, I've got to finish the wiring up, put coolant in it, get the fuel cell mounted, the fuel pump mounted and plumbed, and I think we're about ready to fire it up well and throw the belts on it, which I've got. I've already measured for them. I got the belts. Once we get this run, brought up to temperature, heat cycled, all that bullshit, make sure there's no leaks, oil pressure's good, all that, we'll connect the flex plate, do the same thing with the transmission, go through the gears. Once that's all done, then we get some other stuff done. I will worry about putting air conditioning on it. Okay? Until that point, I'm not. I got everything wired for it. It'll be pigtailed out. I can put it on either side of the engine. Most likely it'll go on the driver's side because you got the dipstick and the breather and heater hoses and bullshit on this side. But it'll probably go on that side. So it's all ICT billet bracket that works with the bracket that I've already got on here from ICT billet. So everything should work. I've got everything working. I had a power drain, which was one of the door courtesy light switches in the door. I've got to replace them, which I was going to anyway because one of them's broke on this side. But wipers all working. That was just putting a ground wire from the motor to the cab. And then the heater, all that works. Everything works. Turn signals, headlights, everything. Got that all done. All I got to do is finish up the wiring. One relay for the power windows. Even though the kit says hook to 12 volt, I'm putting a relay on it. I used another power window kit to do the locks. Relay for it. Relay for the fuel pump. That's got the built-in fuse on the positive battery side. Finished wiring a few of these wires in. The green one's AC, the black one's ground, and the yellow is ignition trigger for the fan controller, which has the two relays in it, and you can set the temperature and the temperature probe rather than in the head or the intake. I didn't want it right up around the header because it would heat it up. It's in the hot side of the radiator, the side that comes from the thermostat housing, in the bottom of the tank, so it's getting a good temperature, feel of temperature from the coolant. So all this in here, all I'm doing is looming all this up, getting all this for the locks and wires, which it has inline fuses as well, in line on the power wire. The fuse box that I'm going to use for all this shit, because there's no open slots on this anywhere. I mean, I could probably use the one for the 4x4 and some of the other shit, but, you know, the ECM and shit that I ain't using, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to even try to get into that wiring and bullshit. I put a 6-slot box here. It's got an 8-gauge wire coming from the distribution block at the firewall that's powered only by the ignition. It's 3M taped. It's in the hole for the ashtray. 8 gauge is plenty heavy enough to run a fuel pump, a fan, trigger wire, and the windows and the locks. Ain't no big deal. I'll try to do something wild with the headliner. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to fiberglass resin it to stiffen it up. We're going to try to do some paint and then put some clear acrylic epoxy over it and seal it and do something cool with it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Something patriotic. Same thing like I'm going to do on the hood. I'm kind of try to do something patriotic with a tattered flag and something that way. I ain't figured quite how I'm going to lay it out yet. But I've got all the stencils. I just got to figure out how I'm going to lay it out. Of course, take this thing out and wheel it out where it kind of orange peeled up a little bit on the bottom parts of the fenders. Get the tranny cooler mounted and hooked up. Made a fan. I just got to get one more and drill the other hole up here, but I made brackets so I can put a fan on it. Oh, but that's it. But this weekend it's going to be fun time because me and my wife ain't had no time to ourselves in a long time. Tuesday's supposed to be our day, but usually everybody's got something else going on that they need one of us for. So I don't know if we're gonna go eat, catch moot, whatever she wants to do. I'll leave it up to her. Woman works 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. She can choose what we want to do. Here's something else too, and I just want to share this. I belong to a lot of groups, 3 different S10 swap groups, 4 actually. A couple other groups that are started by people I'm friends with on Facebook. If somebody comes in one of these groups and they ask for help on a particular situation with a vehicle, don't go in there and start bashing on them. Okay? I realize that some of you guys think you're walking encyclopedias of automotive knowledge and you're the God-given guru to everything automotive, but there's no reason to go in there and start throwing hateful talk towards somebody for asking a question. Okay, I was brought up, no question stupid. A mistake's not a mistake if you learn from it. And if you don't have anything nice to say, just shut your mouth. Don't even say anything. Because what you don't realize is, no matter if somebody's having a good day or a bad day, if you go in there and you throw hate around and say you piss off 10 people, then those 10 people are going to be pissed off. They're going to go somewhere, and it's either going to be a spouse, a sibling, a child, or somebody's going to catch hell because they're in a foul mood, and it just spreads and spreads and spreads. You don't think it does, but that's shit like that happens. Okay? There's enough hate, discontent, and bullshit in the world right now to last a million lifetimes. Don't add to it. Okay? Don't. Because me, like a lot of other people, with what's been going on and everything else, are just fed the fuck up. Okay? The match is there, the fuel's there, we're waiting for somebody to come along and strike it. And then when they do, all hell's going to break loose. So just be kind. There's no need to be mean to somebody, or pissy, or shitty, or whatever you want to call it. If they ask a question and you don't know, if you want to be like politeful and cheerful and say, yeah, well, bud, I don't know, but I'm sure somebody in here will help you out, or can point them in the right direction if you don't know, that's fine. But don't go in there and go, nah, dumbass. You ought to know what you're doing before you go fucking with something like that. That shit that's uncalled for. And you don't have to pick at what they're wearing, their pants, or say, oh, so-and-so needs to grow an ass, or so-and-so, she needs to grow boobs, or those jeans are stupid, or that car looks like shit, or whatever. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has to start somewhere. Okay? And everybody's got feelings. And people seem to forget that. And the old saying, one person can fuck it up for everybody. They have a bad experience with one person, they'll never go ask anybody again. And then these young guys just lose interest in cars or whatever it is, and we lose another one. So just be kind. Okay? Just because your life's shit don't mean you got to dump your shit on everybody else. So if your life's shit, go get around some positive people. Maybe you've been done that way and talked down to and talked to like you're beneath somebody, and now you do it to everybody else. Lead by example, not by ignorance and stupidity. So anyway, till the next one. Everybody stay safe. God bless. Later.